Hey, I'm back. I took a month and I wanted to be straight with you about why. I know I don't owe you an explanation, but because what happened to me in that month is exactly what this show is going to be about. I needed to stop. I needed a break. I didn't run out of things to say, but I didn't want to just keep talking, because when I am doing these shows and episodes, I'm thinking about you. And I wanted to come back sharper with something that actually serves you, the reason why you're here. So let's start with the question. It's the same question I'm going to ask you. What in my life needs a second look right now? And I found that when I got still and asked myself honestly what was going well with the show, there were so many things that I love. And the question is, what could make it a 10? What would make it a 10 out of 10? What would make it great? And the difference between great and good is always the same thing. It's about being clear, getting clear about what it is that we're actually here to do. So here's where we're going. This show going forward is going to be about ideas, the ones that won't leave you alone, the ones that you've been sitting on for a little bit, the ones that got buried over on the someday, one day column, or the I'm not ready column, or the but what if it doesn't work column. I'm going to explore the things that really matter and how you know when an idea is a good idea and what it's costing you, what it costs you in your bones when we don't move on our ideas. So before we get there, I want to talk to you about something that might be right in the middle of your chest, because you can hear is in the middle of mine. And it's that moment that you know. The moment when you realize that something just isn't working. And I think you know what I'm talking about. You're not in anything that feels like a crisis. It's softer than that. It moves at a lower volume than that. It's the Sunday night, and you realize that tomorrow, Monday, feels like the same as last week's Monday and the Monday before that. And maybe it's, you got a birthday coming up. It ends in a 5 or a 0. Or you lost something, someone that you loved. They're no longer with you. And you are reminded of life. And quite frankly, the urgency that is our life. And so then, we can't help it. We take a small, short mental audit and we just kind of go through and we look at what's working, what's not working, what actually is just not adding up. And, what did Michael say? He's looking at the man in the mirror. And there are those times when things are that four-letter dreaded word. They're fine. They're not bad, but they're not great either. And you're not at the moment of any kind of breakdown, but it could be something trying to break through and get your attention. Now, many people feel that moment and immediately reach for something else to do. They reach for the remote control. They grab their phone and scroll and scroll and scroll. Sometimes we go get something to eat. We keep ourselves busy. And I know why. Because that moment of realization can be uncomfortable. Because if you stay with it, it's going to ask something of you. And you're not really sure you want to answer. It's interesting. I went to a birthday party last month. and for my good friend of over 40 years. So I'm at this party, and there are people at the party from every aspect of my friend's life. And there is a couple. One of the people in the couple that I have talked to many times over the years at different gatherings and parties said, you know, sometimes I avoid contact with you. And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, there's something about you. I find it a little bit scary. And I thought, this is insane. That's crazy. What are you talking about? I'm scary. And she said, well, whenever I'm with you, I feel something stir in me. And I feel like being with you is going to push me to do something that I have been avoiding doing. That intrigued me. I said, okay, tell me more. And she said, well, I have always wanted to sing. Like, I really love to sing, and I sing around the house. But when I get quiet, there's a part of me that wants to sing in public. Maybe not a big giant show or anything, but I just wonder, what would it be like if I had the mic and I sang? And I said, oh, I love that idea. So what are you going to do with it? And she said, see, that's why I get scared of being around you, because that's just your normal, natural reaction. You always ask me, so what's next? And I said, oh, that's what I do. So, you know, when we find that we reach this moment of discomfort, we do have to sit with it a little bit, because that discomfort is data. It's your nervous system, your whole system sending you a signal. Ding, 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 ding. Something here isn't matching who you really are. So that's my first point. It matters that you sit with it. It matters that you don't gloss over that feeling, that you don't go grab something from the refrigerator, that you don't just grab the remote control. That is a moment that really, really matters. And you don't have to jump straight to, oh God, what am I going to do? Before you just let yourself feel the moment. What is this? And so before we move on, I want you to pause and consider for yourself, when was the last time you felt that moment? What were you doing? What were you actually trying to avoid feeling? Now, why do we get there? Why do we sometimes feel stuck? And that's because we unintentionally put ourselves on autopilot. And autopilot isn't actually laziness, it's protection. Our brain is always in the business of ultimately keeping us alive. And so it's always looking for shortcuts and efficiencies because it's got a lot of work to do. So it's managing the physical body, it's managing the machine, getting the things going to the right places, fluids, ideas, electrical stimuli, keeping that heart beating, keeping those lungs operating. It's doing a lot. And when we have these ideas and it triggers our nervous system, it's alerting us to a gap. Now, why it works is because it's an efficiency. It keeps you comfortable. It keeps you out of the discomfort of the unknown. And our brains love autopilot. It loves predictability. It loves knowing exactly what's happening next. It produces very reliable results, and it keeps us from vulnerability. So it's not a bad thing that you've ever been or that you are on autopilot. It doesn't mean you've stopped caring, but at some point, what was working is no longer working, and it demands something of you and keeps you out of like the overwhelm. So it's not that you were on autopilot. It's just that once you realize that you've reached a point where this part of autopilot isn't working, then it's an invitation to a new season, a change. And it's okay what was working 5 years ago no longer works for you. It's okay that that program has been operating. It's just time for an update. And most efficient systems require an update. So even when you've done all the right things and been hitting all the right marks and showing up and keeping your word and doing things, sometimes you might find that you are operating behind a murky cloud. But guess what? Once you recognize that you have reached the point where it's time to update the system, you can update the system and you can want something more than comfort. You can allow yourself to realize that there's something more for you and go towards this thing that seems to produce a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of something, something, and go toward that in curiosity. Because when you do, something great might be on the other side for you. So, what about if you don't go? If you just keep waiting and waiting, then there is a cost. It's not like, oh, danger, Will Robinson, danger. But there's a cost to not acting now. And it's when you don't do the things that you suspect are your work to do. You know that there's this version of you that did the thing, but you might not ever discover it. You might not become the person that had the difficult conversation. You might never become the person to saying yes to the thing that you've been thinking about for 2 years. There's a version of you that knows what it feels like when you've tried and when you've done the thing. And you might miss out on your own personal sparkle. So when we wait, when we tell ourselves, I will do this sometime later, when the kids are out of the house, when my retirement vests, when I get my next promotion, when my ex starts paying his child support, you're not just pushing pause or going into neutral. You are making a choice. And every choice has a cost. There are the obvious costs, more time, yet another year. And that's real. But there are other costs that are not as visible. And it's the erosion of the ability to trust yourself, the ability to know that you have got your own back, that you are in it for the benefit of you. Every year you hear the signal and you know that there's something pulling you forward, something that you want, and you override it. A part of you starts to believe maybe you can't do it. Stops believing that you are capable of doing what needs to be done. And it's not because you can't, it's because you didn't. And after a while, a blanket of complacency can just kind of overcome you, and ideas will stop coming. And it's not because there are no more ideas, because it will really be because your brain has taken the reins such that it's trained you to not take your ideas seriously, to not take your desire seriously, to not care about what you want. And that's the real cost, not just another year. It's your relationship with yourself. So I'm not trying to create some kind of sense of false urgency, but it's painful to watch brilliant, worthy, capable people spend years of their life doing what other people thought was right. And that has its own kind of grief and sorrow attached to it. That wonder of what could have been if I just stopped waiting, if I stopped needing to have it all figured out, if I stopped treating someday like it's a real day on the calendar. It's not. There's Sunday through Saturday. You will never find someday or one day. So, what are we doing? We allow ourselves to at least let those ideas percolate and come to the surface. And we start to play with and engage in some intentional visioning. And that's not the same thing as goal setting or 5-year plans. It's not even a vision board that you throw on the wall and look at every now and then. These vision boards that we make can somewhat be embarrassing if we don't attend to them. What I'm talking about is intentional visioning. And that's something completely different where you get specific about what you're doing and who you are becoming, not just what you want to have or achieve. We're talking about becoming. And this is why it works when some other things haven't worked, because autopilot has you running an old story. It's what you already know. Visioning is a pattern interrupt. It interrupts that story. It gives the brain something new to organize around. It is extraordinary, and it's the thing that will move you toward a clear, compelling picture of what's possible. And this picture is very personal. It's yours. It's not your mom always wanted you to get a graduate degree. It can't be borrowed from someone else's highlight reel. It has to be shaped entirely by you and what you will allow yourself to at least think about, at least come to the surface. And that's the real work. I call it radical honesty. When you clear out the noise of what's not yours and you clear and make way for what actually is the, the life, the love, the work that is only yours to do, that only you can do. And I've seen it change folks' lives, not in the everything is perfect now, but in the way that just feels good when you know that you are building and you know your own why. You feel the difference in yourself. And that kind of clarity is not a small thing. It's a big thing. It's a good thing. So here we are. And I want to pose a question to you. It's not an assignment. It's not homework. but it is something that will carry you. What in your life might deserve a second look? Not an idea that you had last week. I'm talking about the one from that you've been carrying for a minute. The one that you put in the drawer after someone poo-pooed it or talked you out of it. The one that you talked yourself out of. The one that you said to yourself you weren't ready to explore. Maybe it's in your own household. The relationship you've been afraid to go deep with, or a creative project, or a business, or just a conversation. There is a version of yourself that you can start to build. And it can happen when you stop operating from fear and go ahead and pick up those tools and let yourself know what you really do know. What if that idea is still there? What if what has never been done before could be done exactly by you? You're the perfect person. You know, our dreams and visions, our ideas, we got to give them some credit. They have a longer shelf life than we realize. And now that your timing is such that you're in a season of your life, what if this is the perfect time to pursue it? So let me see what comes up for you. I'm going to invite you to find me out on these interweb streets. I'm at It's Coach Lori on the gram, and I'm Laurier Harris on LinkedIn. And you can find me on my own website at laurierharris.com. I want to know what's coming up for you. Now, before we go, let me tell you about my friend from the party. We continued to chat, and I sent her one of my favorite songs. I said, I just want you to listen to the words because to me, that song speaks of everything. And it's called Here's to Life on Spotify by Shirley Horn. When I tell you I love that song, I can remember the moment I heard it. And the very first time I heard it, it moved me such that I cried. So I sent that song to my party friend, and you know what she did? She got herself enrolled in voice lessons, and she sent me a picture of herself in front of the studio. Now, this was a dream that she had held for a few years, and then she moved on it. When I tell you, her face was so lit up in the photograph, that's all available for us. So maybe you're not quite there yet. You don't quite know what's for you right now, but you know there's something stirring. If anything that we talked about today is sitting right in your chest, you have that pull, that recognition. I've been feeling it, but I don't know what to do with it. I've got an event. It's coming up next week, March 20th. I'm hosting a 3-hour visioning session called Don't Stop at the Happy Hour. We're going to be at the Gathering Spot in Los Angeles. And if you know the Gathering Spot, you know that is the perfect place to be. It's where we form community, where ideas get hatched, and we are not going to be doing a lecture. It's not me just talking, talking, talking. This is a room of intention where I share tools and space with you to think about this life I have. What am I actually building? So we're going to go from a mere happy hour to happy days. We take the social, the conversation, the energy that we bring to the room, and we channel it into something that will light you up. So you go from Sunday night dread of Monday to a bright and beautiful day that you love waking up to. And then, like, not only was Monday good, but on Tuesday you wake up and said, hey, that Monday was a good one. And it keeps happening for you over and over and over again. The link to Don't Stop at Happy Hour gathering at the gathering spot will be in the show notes. And I would love to see you then. Until then, all rise, all shine. It's your time to shine, and you are ready for the next step. I can't wait to see you. Take good care.